This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Yep, psych. You thought I was gonna do the robot. That's right, you thought I was gonna do the robot. Somebody did ask a good question about that other case earlier that we were talking about. I guess it was, well, it's mild, it's better than the other one. It was, why didn't the dad call the police before leaving the house? Because it's like, oh my god, my kid's in danger. Maybe he just didn't realize what was going on. He didn't think about calling the police. He was just going to go help. Right. I think a lot of people in the comments are, yeah, you got ice back there. Yeah. Anyways, I interviewed Cindy, the sister of Kimberly and Louiselle, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I'm going to be playing that here in just a second. No, my neck isn't going to be better like anytime soon. I'm just letting you know. I've had to do it for 3 months before, and then it sucks. It's like a thing where you can barely. It just starts getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It's one of those things where you have to get a shot like cortisone, but I'm trying to avoid doing something like that with ice. And maybe it'll just get better. Sometimes it just sort of randomly gets better quick. So we'll see. Hold on, I'm just trying to. Okay, there he is, right there. 6 Mile Road and Centralia Street. Okay, I got that on the screen. So I am going to play that for you guys. All right, so you can hear there's some new information in there. Okay. Yeah, I don't mind getting a stiff neck, but this one's sort of this deep thing right in on the nerve root that goes to my arm, and sometimes I can't feel my tricep starts wiggling and shit. It just sucks, the whole thing. So here we go. I'll interrupt every once in a while, I'm sure. Great, what are you doing? Hey, thanks, Jessica Schubach. Yep, we got to keep on trucking, building up to the end of the month.
I thought it'd start things off for tonight. Open mouth smile.
Thank you, Streamlabs, for saying.
Alright.
Alright, here we go. Let me turn this up.
Yeah. Alright, on March 20th, 1982, Kim was at her boyfriend's
This is Cindy. I don't know if she wants me to put out her last name, but...
house, and it was actually his cousin's house. Her boyfriend was staying with his cousin.
So his cousin's house.
From what I understand, them two had an issue, and her boyfriend left and went to work, and Kim was pretty upset over the issue that they were having, so she decided she was going to come home, and she started hitchhiking. Her brother's boyfriend, on a lot of the articles you read, it says that her brother's
Thank you, Rochelle Black. Push it. There we go.
boyfriend was the one that drove her and dropped her off at 8 Mile and Merriman, but he's not the one that drove her. He was only like 15, 16 at the time, and he didn't even have a license, let alone a car. So he walked Kim to the end of the road, and he waited with her until she started hitchhiking. And once the car stopped to pick her up, he said that something just didn't feel right, so he wrote the license plate number down. The police ended up finding that guy because of the license plate number that he wrote down. And he said that he had dropped Kim off at 8 Mile and Merriman. And he actually passed a lie detector's test. But besides the fact that he said that he dropped her off there, we had a family member who seen her there. And they were running late for an appointment, so they didn't stop to ask her or pick her up.
Yes, it's pre-recorded. I'm just playing it, but I'll probably interrupt here and there, okay? I don't sound any different, though, than the recording. That's what's crazy.
Or anything, but they didn't know she needed a ride. She made like 4 phone calls that I'm certain of to all the friends and family to try to find a ride the rest of the way home. But nobody could go and pick her up. And them phone calls were the last thing that we know she did. From that point, we don't know where she was, what happened with her, if anybody actually did. She did get a hold of someone to pick her up, and we don't know what happened to her after that point.
Yeah, it sounds like he was telling the truth. I mean, the later articles, I found a later article from 2005 that pretty much said what you just... All right, so live here again. Right on the street here, the boyfriend of hers was staying with a cousin because I guess they got evicted from a home somewhere. So they were staying with cousins here. And the boyfriend and her, I guess they broke up or whatever. And then she... the brother of the boyfriend walks her to the street here, and then that's when he sees the gremlin pick her up and gets the license plate, and it turns out that he did take her to this location here and drop her off because somebody else saw her walking in this area heading to the west, so he didn't really drive her that far. Said that the brother walked her to the, I think it's 6 Mile and whatever. It's just that they live, that the house was right near 6 Mile Road, right? The place
it was right at 6 Mile and Inkster. That area was on a street called Centralia.
Right, okay.
The cousin lived on Centralia, and it was 6 Mile and Inkster area.
Okay, so the boyfriend lived on Centralia, but the boyfriend's brother walked her to 6 Mile, and I guess he could have been on this side too. What road again? I didn't think of that. Did you say?
Yeah, he took her to, he walked her to the end of the street that they were staying on, and that was on Centralia.
Okay, right to 6 Mile, and then and watched her hitchhike. He waited until somebody picked her up. It seems like, unless she just got picked up immediately, and then he wrote down the license plate number. Then I heard it was a gremlin. I read in one article, like some sort of a gremlin, and then it was driven to 8 what is it again? Merriman and 8 Mile, right? Merriman.
8 Mile and Merriman, yeah.
Dropped off there, so she didn't get a full ride anywhere, just sort of a quick...
Correct.
And apparently she did get out of the car because somebody else saw her walking there.
Correct.
Yeah.
A family member seen her there. Like I said, I don't know if they were sitting at the intersection, if Kim was using a payphone that was right there on the corner. But they drove by and they claimed they seen her. Kim was wearing a white fuzzy jacket, and so it would have been real noticeable to see her jacket for them to have seen her there.
And so it sounded like in one of the articles that they'd Robert, the boyfriend, and her broke up at the house. Do you know what happened to make them break up?
Let me start from the beginning with that. Bob and his family had moved to Whitmore Lake, which is right next to our town. It's a town connecting to South Lyon. And they were from the Detroit area, and they were living in Whitmore Lake, and that's how Kim met him. They only lived there for a few months. I don't know if they ended up getting evicted from there or what the issue was, but Kim and him started dating when they were living in Whitmore Lake. When they moved, I think they got evicted, so that's how they ended up going and staying with Bob's cousin, because he was living with his mom and his two younger brothers in Whitmore Lake. They all moved in with the cousin down in Redford, and that was off of Centralia.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And Kim, my parents didn't want Kim dating Bob because Bob was a few years older than her, and their family wasn't the best people, but they weren't exactly the worst people. So my parents were trying to keep her away from them. Once Bob and them moved back down towards Redford, the distance became a problem because Bob didn't have a car. Kim was only 15 at the time when she met him. She had turned 16 a couple weeks before she went disappeared.
How old was he?
But I believe he was 18 or 19 at the time.
Okay.
So he was like two to 3 years older than her, which ain't that bad, but at 15 to like 18, 19 when she met him, that's a pretty good difference for that age, you know?
Right.
But my parents had the issue with it, so when they moved back down to Redford, Kim started hitchhiking down there to see him. Well, because she went down there, and apparently Bob told her that because of the issue with my parents not agreeing with their relationship, with him living way out there and not having a car, it was just going to be too much of a hassle for him to see her anymore, and he started dating somebody else. So he told her all this on the 20th, right before he left for work. So I'd imagine Kim was pretty upset, and she decided she was going home. So she started hitchhiking home, and like I said, his little brother, that was more Kim's age, walked her to the end of the street and waited until she got picked up.
And he
wrote down the license plate number.
Okay, and he left her there. Like, he goes to work. How did he get to work if he didn't have a car? Did somebody...
He borrowed the cousin's car.
Okay. So he took the...
And that was the only car that was there.
All right, and so he takes off and goes to work. She's left there, probably really embarrassed. And
probably pretty upset because he just told her that he didn't want to see her anymore. He was starting to date an ex-girlfriend of his, and
yeah, so she's
upset
and embarrassed, you know, because you're just at this house with these people, and you're like, oh wow. And so then the brother of Robert walked her to the end of the street, which ends up right on 6 Mile Road. And then she got picked up by a guy driving a Gremlin, and he thought it was kind of dodgy, so he wrote down the license plate. But apparently the guy driving the Gremlin dropped her off at 8 Mile and Marion because she was actually... Or Merriman. Merriman? Yeah, Merriman. 8 Mile and Merriman.
Right.
Okay, let me try that again. Dropped her off at 8 Mile and Merriman. At 8 Mile and Merriman. And then somebody else saw her there as well, so she definitely got out of that car and was walking down west on 8 Mile at that point.
Right. Before she started walking, or I don't know if she started walking again or not, but I know she made phone calls after that guy dropped her off. Because she was still quite a distance from home. And she made phone calls to, I know, 4 people, including our brother was one of them. So That probably rode on him quite a bit because he didn't have the gas to go get her. So I know of 4 people that she called after she was dropped off, and she told them that's where she was because she needed someone to come and pick her up. So it's been validated that's where she was by the phone calls and by our family member that's seen her there.
So she just
after she was dropped off.
Right. She didn't call home, though, to get a ride.
She did call home because my brother answered the phone.
Oh,
but my parents both worked for GM. I know it was a Saturday, so they had to have been doing overtime. And so they weren't home. But before they left for work, Kim called down to the cousin's house because they wanted her home. She had been down there for 2 days. She went down there on the 18th. And they wanted her home, so they called down there. And the cousin told my parents that he would make sure she made it home that day. So that both of them work in the afternoons. You know, they figured he's going to bring her home. They left and went to work. And when they got home, you know, it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and she wasn't home. That's when I don't know if they called the cousin's house again that night or the next morning, but they called and reported her missing the morning of the 21st, March 21st, 1982.
And that's the cousin of the boyfriend, not theirs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so then she goes missing, and then what happened after that? I mean,
I was honestly at the boyfriend's house. They had moved. They moved from the cousins during the time she was missing. They moved from the cousin's house to a house in Detroit, and that was at 5 Mile and Lasher area. And I was actually at their house the day that I found out. That was on April 14th. She was missing from March 21st until April 14th. Nobody has any idea where she was. Nobody heard from her, anything, after she made them phone calls and was dropped off.
Do they consider that she went missing on the 21st or the 20th? I thought she went missing on that same...
She went missing. I'd say the 21st because that, to me, was the day that she was completely missing. Nobody's seen or heard from her that whole first day, but technically she came up missing at about 6:30 when she made them phone calls on March 20th.
Okay, so she went missing on the 20th, and then you went over to the house where the cousin of Robert lived, right?
No, they Bob and his family had moved from the cousin's house, and they moved to a house that was at 5 Mile and Lasher.
Oh, I see.
And this was when Kim was missing. I don't know. I was 13 at the time. A friend of Kim's took me down to their house because we were trying to find Kim. We thought maybe there was a chance she was still there. So we went to the house when they found out where the house was that they had moved to. And I was actually at their house. My parents didn't know I was there. But I was at their house, and I was wearing a T-shirt that we thought Kim was wearing when she came up missing. But the police surrounded their house, and I was in there, and the whole family was in there. And when they all came in, I mean, they came in the front door, they came in the back door, and they looked at the shirt that I was wearing, and they asked me where I got that from. And I told them it was my sister's. And then they asked me who my sister was, and I told them. And they had me go sit in a bedroom. They wouldn't talk to me, and they had the rest of the family out in the kitchen. And Bob had a sister, and I could hear Bob start crying. I heard the rest of the family start crying. So I stepped out of the room. I didn't know what this was all about. So I stepped out of the room, and Barb looked at me, and she told me, "You need to come out here because this has to do with your sister." And when I walked in the kitchen, everybody just shut up. Nobody said anything. The police told me to go back in the room, and I told them, I said, well, if this got something to do with Kim, I want to know. And as soon as I said that, front door opened, and here walks my parents. So they came down there with the police, and I don't know if they found out I was there or how they found out I was there, but they knew I was there, so they came down there to get me. And as soon as my mom and dad walked in, my mom looked at me and said, you know, so you already know? Because all the police and everybody was there, and I was like, know what? She told me that they found Kim, and me, I'm not thinking anything different. I got excited. I'm like, where is she? Because me and Kim were really close. We hardly ever were separated. And that was when my mom told me that they found her dead. That was exactly how I was told.
Oh, man. What made you go to that house on 5 Mile?
And where they had moved 5 Mile last year, I was looking for Kim.
So you were just looking for her on your own. You probably been looking for her for a while, right? And you went there because you heard that's where they moved, so you went to their house, right?
Yep. A friend of Kim's actually took me down there. She found out where they had moved. And she's like, let's go down there and find out if she's there. So we did.
So that was just coincidental that you showed up there on the same day
At
she
the
was
same
found.
time.
Wow.
No, my parents knew I was there. That was the whole reason they went there, was to get me. I don't know. The police could have even called my parents and inform them that I was there, because there was a little bit of a time span. Like I said, when they got there and they questioned me about the shirt that I was wearing and I told them who I was, they had time to have everybody in the kitchen and start telling them and questioning them everything. And I was sitting in a room, so it was probably a good half hour or so. So that would have been time enough for my parents to get down there if they called them and informed them that I was there.
Yeah, that makes sense. How old were you at the time?
I was 13.
Wow, and you're out there alone too, just looking for her. Oh.
Well, Kim, like I said, me and Kim were inseparable. Like I said, she had been down there since the 18th of March, 2 days before she went missing. When she used to skip school a lot, and it wasn't because she was running away. She never went a long time without informing anybody of where she was. She still had her family values and everything, but she was a 15-year-old girl dating an older guy that's down there. Now she's going to go see him. My parents were trying to keep her away from home. But we had both promised my parents that, because I used to hitchhike with her down there a lot too. And the reason I didn't go that day was because we had both told my parents they were threatening to put her in a home. They were trying to do anything they could to control her, more or less. But the only thing she was out of control about was going to see Bob. She wasn't a drinker. She didn't do drugs. She wasn't a partier at all. She was just a normal 15-year-old girl that met a guy. But we told them that we'd start going to school every day. And we left for school the morning of the 18th. Kim, the high school and the middle school were right next door to each other. So Kim went to school, and she used to get suspended. She got suspended that morning for something, and she walked from the school over to my school, from the high school to the middle school, and she came to my classroom, and this was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and she told me she was going to hitchhike down there. And she asked me to go with her, and I told her no, because we had just both told our parents we'd start going to school, and so I told her no, and I should have never told her no.
I don't feel
so she
bad
left.
About that. You did the right thing.
And I never seen her again.
Yeah, well, don't feel guilty. Every single case that I ever covered, there's always something like that where a family member said, well, she asked me to go with her and I didn't go, and you don't blame yourself, because you did. Staying in school was the right decision, right?
Right, it was. My mom always tells me too, well, there's nothing saying if you didn't go with her that you wouldn't have ended up the same as her.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
I'm only 13.
It's really common, and a lot of people feel guilty about different things, like they didn't answer a call that came in because they were asleep, and there's just tons of things like that. But in reality, those are normal.
Like my brother couldn't go get her because he didn't have gas.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just all normal life things. What's not normal is what happened to your sister. Okay, that's what's not normal. So that's the only thing that people should focus in on, is that.
They found her on April 14th, 1982. And that's what, I know you read what I wrote, yeah. That's what's weird. The place they found her was only about 6 miles from our house. It was pretty much in our hometown. But they found her at the corner of Kensington and Grand River. There's a parking lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you went to the back of this parking lot, it was just this little dirt lot, and maybe 15 cars would fit in there, 10 to 15 cars. But if you went to the back of this lot, there was this little tiny fence, and it was just like a chain link fence. And on the left to that fence, so you couldn't get back there unless you knew where the opening was. There was a little opening that the kids had made in the fence so they could go back there and cut through the field to go to a gravel pit they used to all go swimming at. So that's what totally blows my mind, is how somebody got her back there unless they knew the area. But behind this parking ride, on the other side of that fence, there was just a bunch of bushes and tree line. Once you went on the other side of that, there was a big open field that was to the left side of it, and there was a bunch of trails and stuff that people would take to go over to the gravel pit. And there was state land. But to the right, once you went through that fence, there was a tree line that went into the woods, and she was found in that area next to the woods.
You know, if you go onto Street View, they still have a version. So when you're going down the road on Street View, it's pretty modern, so that parking lot's really long. But there's this little there's this little tiny part though of Street View that goes into the parking lot, and you go into that, and it's from 2008 or 7, and it's the really short dirt parking lot. So you can still see it the way it was back then.
That's the way it was when she was found. It don't look, because I'm in Arizona, so I'm not in Michigan a whole lot. I haven't seen it since they paved it and everything, but yeah, it looked a lot different than what it does now.
They said she was found.
I've seen it when you showed the video.
Yeah. They said she was found about 400 feet from the parking lot, south.
Yeah, she wasn't very far in it.
Yeah, it's not far. It's only 100 yards or so, 120 yards, 130. Yeah, and then she was near a trail. I think I can see that using the satellite from 1999. It looks kind of similar, even though that's still 17 years before that. But,
right.
So what... have you guys gone out there and been shown the location?
Personally, I haven't been. I mean, I've been out there. I couldn't tell you the exact spot she was found. I went out there on my own. I've been out there a couple times on my own just to be in the area. But I do not know the exact spot they found her. I just know it was by the woods. Like I said, if you went past that fence and through the tree line, it was to the right. There was a bunch of woods, and she was in that area.
So if you go
She wasn't far in the woods. She was right at the tree line. So whoever placed her there, I don't think they were trying to hide her, because they could have took her into the woods farther than what they did. They didn't try to hide her at all. She was right at the tree line, from my understanding.
But they think that she was put there, though, right?
Yeah, they believe she was placed there.
They said she was in
fetal. She was missing for over 3 weeks.
Right, but she'd only been dead a week. So where do you think she was?
I don't know. I had heard through the years, people talk that she was seen at a party at a trailer park at 8 Mile, off of 8 Mile. And my brother heard the same thing. So I recently put a post up, and I've been trying to find out anybody that can tell me of any party that happened during the time she was missing, that they would have seen her at this party, because I guess it wasn't a small...
Thank you, Nicole Marie.
Thanks for this great interview.
Party. But I can't get anybody to validate that that was actually a party that happened, that she was actually ever at a party. I'm still at where nobody knows anything. Nobody's seen her, heard from her at all during the 3 weeks she was missing.
So was the address that you lived at the time 11623 Lisa Laurie Lane? Okay. Yeah, so it's...
Lisa Laurie's all one word.
Yeah, Lisa Laurie Lane, yeah. So it looks like I've already got it mapped out, but it's interesting because that parking area is on the same sort of north-south orientation basically as your house. Like
It is.
she was moved over there, but it's not to the house. God, it's just such a bizarre story. You know.
Now, do you see where I say it? I believe it was somebody she knew.
I think you're probably right on that. Police believe that too. And it sounds like she was eating, like she didn't have, according to the one article I read, she had no malnutrition. She had no marks on her wrists or hands, like she's been restrained anywhere. So she was obviously eating and being fed somewhere for 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
That's just absolutely bizarre.
There's so many weird things about it.
And did they found DNA at the time on her?
They had very little DNA from what I've been told, because I've talked to the detective over the last few years. I actually was going to have Kim's body exhumed to try to get more DNA, because what they say they had got stored wrong from what I was told and got contaminated, and therefore they don't have it anymore. So there is no DNA. But when I asked about getting Kim's body exhumed and asked if that would possibly be a way of getting more DNA, the detective told me that there was so little of it to begin with that she don't think it would be worth our time. And I was going to do it anyways, because to me, anything's worth the time. But when I brought it up to my parents, they were okay with it at first, and then my dad's the one that decided that he wanted to leave her at rest and not disturb her. So I was told I could not do that.
Well, the thing is nowadays they have such way better technology in finding DNA. But I guess you've been told you can't.
They say because she was found nude and none of her belongings were ever recovered, that played a big part in the fact they didn't have a whole lot of DNA. And because there was snow on the ground and stuff like that, I guess that all played a part. I don't know how that all works.
Yeah,
but that's just what I was told from the detectives.
Okay. Yeah, so the way she was found, it sounds like she was sort of in fetal position, so the person would have had to have placed her like that.
I'm figuring that in order for them to get her back there, if they took her out of a car and they probably picked her up and carried her, which if they took her back there carrying her and laid her down, that would explain the fetal position.
Well, that's kind of a specific, you'd almost have to put him in that. I mean, we don't have a photo where arms nicely tucked in and that kind of thing. So when they say fetal position, it could just mean her legs were bent and she was kind of curled up a little bit.
I always pick it up or picture it like if you pick up a little kid and you're carrying them, and then you just go to lay them down in bed. They're kind of in that little fetal position until they stretch out or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way I always pictured it.
So over the years,
I'm amazed that they got her back there.
Well, it seems like they probably did it late at night, probably parked there. You think it would have been hard to get her back there, or?
Yeah. Unless they knew about that opening, they would have had to jump the fence or put her over the fence and then go over the fence. So that's what I mean. That opening means a lot. Because unless you were a local, people wouldn't have known of that. If you didn't know the area and say you wanted to dump a body and it's at nighttime, and you find this parking lot by some God's chance that you find this parking lot in the middle of darkness, and you're trying to get her in the back to this field, you got a fence right there.
There's good old Billy Boy Blue with the great timing again.
Jack and Jill went up the hill, both with $1.25. Jill came down with $250. Oh.
Thanks, Billy Boy Blue.
I mean, it wasn't a big...
Yeah, that was read so poorly by Streamlabs. Like, you gotta emphasize it. Ooh!
fence, but unless you knew that opening to carry her through, and that opening was all the way to the left of the park and ride at the back, I just can't. They had to have known it was there. Because I can't imagine somebody going and looking through someplace and then seeing a fence. If I was trying to dump a body personally and I found this park and ride and I run into this fence when I'm trying to figure out how to get back there, I'm going to be like, well, this ain't the spot. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Was the fence right on...
Somebody knew that opening was there.
Was that fence right on the parking lot? Or like...
Yeah.
Okay, so there was an opening on the left side of... Like right in the corner there? Hello?
I'm sorry. I don't know if my face hit the phone or what happened.
Yeah, we actually got disconnected, so I just cut that part out.
The Christian Andriacchio case. The Christian...
Yeah. He was found nude, and they had very little DNA. So I recently put a post up, and I've been trying.
She had no malnutrition. She had no.
And because there was snow on the ground and stuff like that, I guess that all played a part. I don't know how that all worked.
Have you heard this part? Yeah,
but that's just what I was told from the detectives.
Okay. Yeah. So the way she was found, it sounds like she was sort of in fetal position. So the person would have had to.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the way I always pictured it.
So over the years,
I'm amazed that they got her back there.
Well, it seems like they probably did it late at night. Probably parked there. You think it would have been hard to get her back there, or?
Yeah, unless they knew about that opening, they would have had to jump the fence or put her over the fence and then go over the fence. So that's what I mean. That opening means a lot because unless you were a local, people wouldn't have known of that. If you didn't know the area and say you wanted to dump a body and it's at nighttime and you find this parking lot by some God's chance that you find this parking lot in the middle of darkness and you're trying to get her in the back to this field, you got a fence right there. I mean, it wasn't a big fence, but unless you knew that opening to carry her through, and that opening was all the way to the left of the parking ride at the back, I just can't. They had to have known it was there. Because I can't imagine somebody going and looking through someplace and then seeing a fence. If I was trying to dump a body personally and I found this park ride and I run into this fence when I'm trying to figure out how to get back there, I'm going to be like, well, this ain't the spot. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Was the fence right on...
Somebody knew that opening was there.
Was that fence right on the parking lot? Or like...
Yeah.
Okay, so there was an opening on the left side of... Like right in the corner there? Hello?
I'm sorry. I don't know if my face hit the phone or what happened.
Okay, what I was saying was back in that... It's the back left corner as you're facing the parking lot, right? Like from the road.
Right.
In the back left corner is where the opening was?
Correct.
And then they would have had to sort of go off to the right after going through there where she was found.
Correct. I mean, the parking lot wasn't that big, so they didn't have to go way out of their way to go back to the right. But yeah, but if once you went through that, like I said, it was an open field to the left, and then the wood line was to the right. So if that was their intentions to put her by the wood, yeah.
So do you know if the police are still working on this?
They're supposed to be, because I've tried to get a copy of the whole case file, because I wanted to get a list of everybody that has ever been questioned in this and what their comments were, and I can't get it. When I was in Michigan a few years ago, I went up to the police post and talked to the detective that was on her case then, and he told me that he would okay her case file to be released to me. And he gave me a form to fill out, and I had to mail that to Lansing. So when I got back to Arizona, I filled it out, and I mailed it to Lansing and everything, and I got a response back saying that because her case is still an open case, that they didn't have the information there. So therefore, they couldn't give it to me. And I'm still trying to get that.
Maybe you can do like a FOIA request.
What is it?
FOIA, F-O-I-A, Freedom of Information Act.
I will do that because I desperately want that.
Yeah. Well,
And it is so hard for me to try to get anywhere being in a different state. People can blow you off on the phone all day long. That's why whenever I do go to Michigan, I make it a point to make it up to the police department personally to try and get information. Like I said, last time I got handed a form and I tried that and it didn't work. They told me in Lansing they didn't have it because it was still an ongoing investigation.
You know.
Right. And my whole thing is, this is 38 years later. I can't do any damage to your case, people. Come on now.
Yeah. So what
if anything, let me see who was asked and what they said. I mean, I know these people in our neighborhood a whole lot better than the police did. Maybe I can catch something, but I can't get the report.
Yeah, what do you think what's the theory that most people have?
Most people have a theory that it was a serial killer because of Christine Aguilera.
Yeah.
They've always tried to link them two together. My personal opinion, it's somebody she knew. I don't believe it was a serial killer at all. I believe she got a hold of somebody that day to go pick her up. I believe somebody did pick her up, and they just kept her. She was repeatedly raped, not just once, repeatedly raped. She was repeatedly beaten, and this is going to be done over an amount of time.
That's what they said? I didn't know that they said that she was repeatedly raped.
Yes, she was. At one time, they thought it was more than one guy that raped her. They told me she was repeatedly raped and repeatedly beaten.
Jeez.
And like I said in the beginning, and I think that I don't know, because in the beginning, they thought it was more than one man. They thought it was 2 to 3 that had raped her.
It's almost like it was...
I don't want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to put that in blood, but I remember hearing that. Like I said, this was 38 years later. I was 13, so some things are fuzzy, but there's certain facts that I remember, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
And I also, like I told you, with the dress that we had to buy her, the reason she had to have a high neck collar was because of all the marks, not just from one time being strangled, but she had several marks on her neck that needed to be covered. And the reason I was told...
Yeah, I don't think that's true, what you wrote in there, Gene, that you just all of a sudden... Hey, Gene, you're so focused in on that term you keep using over and over again. Yeah, they got DNA out of there, okay? They got destroyed, okay? You don't need to keep typing that same phrase in. Also, saying that the muscles contract and you go into fetal position just isn't true, okay? All right.
Told that she had several, because I asked my mom about that, and she told me it was because they felt that whoever had her would choke her to the point of passing out, and they did not think that they meant to kill her at the time they did. Now, I don't know how they can tell that, but that's what I was told.
No, maybe they can see that you will, however, if you... Let's say you're in a trunk or something, and rigor mortis occurs while you're in the trunk, tucked in, and you're dead. Obviously you're dead, and then they tuck you in fetal position, and then rigor mortis sets in, and then you lay the person on the ground in fetal position in rigor mortis. Even after the rigor mortis is gone, their body will still be in that position. So I guess that could be something that Alifair may have been referring to earlier. She'd been strangled and then lived, and then they went too far on one of them. I don't know how you can tell what's in somebody's heart, though. I mean...
And you saying something about her still being fed, not malnourished. I've never seen that in any of the papers.
Yeah, it said there was one... let's see. Let me see if I can find it.
I thought I've read everything there was to read on her. But I Google her name all the time, and new things pop up all the time.
Yeah, this is one, it was in a larger article from like 2005 that had other cases in it too. Let's see. It says there was evidence of a sexual assault and fairly brutal murder by strangulation. She had bruises on her face and her left breast, and she had been strangled with a belt-like object. Police did not find any clothing, weapons, or much of anything else at the scene. They believe Kimberly had been dead for a few days before her body was found, and that she was killed somewhere else and dumped at the park. There was no, here it is, there were no signs of undernourishment or restraints, leading police to suspect Kimberly had not been abducted. You know, like originally she may have went willingly with whoever. That's a stupid comment though. You know, so like somebody
But it would make sense if it was somebody that she knew that went and picked her up that day.
Yeah, also though, she could have been held against her will at a location, but they didn't need restraints, you know, you lock her in a room or something, you know.
I mean, because if you knew Michigan, the South Lyon area, I mean, you have all these little boat launch places, little boat buildings that people's parents owned, and vacation spots that people's parents owned, or just some little shed out in the middle of 20 acres that was on the parents' land or anything like that, that they very easily could have locked her in. Yeah. And like you said, didn't need to restrain her, just kept her in the building.
Yeah, and they would feed her. So maybe that's part of why they think maybe they didn't mean to kill her, because wouldn't they do that earlier and not keep feeding her, unless they just wanted to, you know, use her for a while and kept her alive. Right. I don't know. It just sucks, the whole story, you know.
It really does. I mean, if we could figure out where she was during that 3 weeks, or technically 2, because she had been dead for 4 to 6 days, they say. That's one thing that really hurts, too. I mean, we don't even know what day she died on.
Yeah.
We use April 14th.
Mm-hmm. They seem to be pretty sure, though, that it was... I mean, you guys had an open casket or something?
Yes, that was the point. And happened to have the high neck collar. And she didn't even look like herself in that picture in the casket. I remember that. She never parted her hair on the side, and they had it parted on the side. And she wore her makeup a lot, but they had, and it wouldn't explain because of the bruises, but they just had gobs of makeup on her. And they didn't look like her.
Yeah.
I remember when I first walked in and I looked at her and I told my mom that wasn't her. And my mom had to convince me it was her, because I just didn't believe it was her. It didn't look like her.
But so she wasn't very decomposed, I guess. I mean, 6 days is a long time, though. That's,
I know. But yeah, we had an open casket.
I used to be a 5. 3D, now I'm a 4. 3L, does that mean I'm not a zombie? LOL, I just need to know where I stand in the scheme of thing on July 22nd, rolling on the floor laughing.
Yeah, I don't know, Carla. You're not supposed to be able to go backwards on the system I have. The longer you are, the higher number of numbers you get. So I don't know. That's confusing. But thank you. Let's see. Well, do you have anything else you want to add to it, or?
There was a guy that she dated before that, yes. And actually, he wasn't the best person either, and I don't know where he is or anything about him anymore. But that was a few months before she met Bob. Like I said, she was only 15 when she met him.
Well, it sounds like she was definitely trying to get home. So when they say, I think somebody kept her against her will for
I do too, because
time.
Nobody's heard from her.
Right. And also,
she would have made some kind of a phone call. She would have let me know she was okay. I was the only one that even knew she headed back down to Detroit that day. She asked me not to tell my mom and dad because she didn't want to get in trouble for getting suspended. She didn't want to get in trouble for going down there. But like I said, Kim never just took off for days or upon weeks and was never seen or heard from her. She always contacted somebody. She always let somebody know where she was. Like I said, I was the one that she let know that she was going down there. And I was afraid to tell my mom and dad because I didn't want to get her in trouble. But So the very first night, my parents didn't know where she was because I didn't tell them. But my mom was driving me to school the next day because she wasn't going to work or anything. And I'm the one that told her where she was. And I remember my mom being really mad at me and saying, "Thanks a lot, Cindy." Had me worried all night. And then she called the cousin's house, and that's how that all went. And they told her, that she was down there and that they would make sure she got home, and it just didn't happen that way.
Man, just a lot of bad circumstances and luck, and she ran into the wrong person and just turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, it did.
There's got to be a way to...
38 years later, it's still a nightmare.
Yeah, and they don't have the clothing that maybe you could extract DNA from. So there was no clothing at all on her whatsoever? Like just...
No, nothing. She was found completely nude. None of her... That's when they were searching the area trying to find any of her belongings or anything. It's when they found the dynamite.
Yeah, that was weird. The dynamite thing.
Yeah.
I kind of keep leaving that out of the story on purpose now because it's not related. It's just weird. It's like a...
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I'm sorry that you've had to go through this and, for the loss of a sibling. I actually lost a brother when I was 20. He was 22. It wasn't from nefarious means, but it's still,
I'm sorry for your loss.
No, I'm sorry for yours. It's just, takes a long time to start being able to live normally again, but in your case it's harder because there's no answer to the who did it type of thing,
And if I could honestly get it out of my head, that's what drives me the worst, is thinking it was somebody she knew, and if it was somebody she knew, it was somebody we all knew, because South Line was not a big town, and everybody knew everybody. That's the part that gets me the worst, is have I talked to this person not knowing he killed my sister?
I mean,
that's the part that really gets me.
Right. Somebody knows something out there, right?
Exactly.
Now, it could just be the one person, though. That's the thing, is like if he really did pick her up as a hitchhiker, took her to his place and kind of held her against his will, and so that is possible, but it seems more likely that there's other people that were aware,
Yeah, because even if it was that way, I mean, you got a group of kids that are used to hanging out with each other 24/7 pretty much, and if that one person starts acting a little weird or distant for a while during that time, somebody needs to let that be known.
That's right. That's exactly right. Somebody who changed maybe a little bit of their behavior right around that time.
Right. Because they wouldn't have been able to be normal. They wouldn't have been able to be consistent in the groups like they were if they had her somewhere. You wouldn't think.
Right. Huh. Man, it's just such a... well, if you can, maybe I can ask people... There's some people that watch my show that know of techniques to get those kind of documents. So maybe I'll ask somebody out there to send me an email on how to get those documents. And I think family members
I would appreciate that.
And I think family members have better access to the documents, not just random people in the public. So that'd be good.
I want them.
Okay, well, let me see what... I can give you at least maybe some leads on how to do it, but let me get I'll put that out there. I covered it last night, the case again on the channel, just to, so that when I play the interview, it'll all make more sense instead of just being cold again.
Okay, when are you planning on doing that?
I'm not sure. It might be tonight. I might go through and edit it so it's concise.
I know, I probably screwed up a lot.
No, I
didn't
did.
Stumble as bad as I thought I would, though.
No, you didn't stumble at all. It was me. I was the one that was stumbling around. But listen, I really appreciate you taking the time, and if there's anything I can do to help out, let me know. I'm just trying to get the word out there, and maybe we can somehow put some pressure on the police over there to start doing something again.
Thank you.
All right.
If there's anything we did miss or anything that you have a question, just call me back.
I will do. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you go. That was the interview I did earlier today. Probably, I think it was around 2 o'clock, 6 hours ago. Yeah, so if any of you guys know how to get documents like that, send me an email and I can forward it to her. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of cool to be able to talk to her about that. Well, I just want people that actually already know how to do it. Anybody can look into it. I know how to look into it. But yeah, if somebody knows how to do it and sort of is a expert at getting documents and feel like you could help her out, maybe send me an email. I don't want links to how to do it. Okay, I want somebody who knows how to do it to do it. Because I mean, I know how to look things up myself, but there's always a way to do it easier behind the scenes. Yeah, I didn't even really edit that much stuff out of that one. Well, thanks, Rebel Rose. They said I was so mean on the last show. Remember that? I think because of that, I'm gonna have to do it. Where is that thing? Yep, there it is. Poor Gray.
Gray, you're so mean. Did you hear how mean you were when the person wanted to know why the dad didn't call the phone?
Yep, I remember. I remember. Oh wow, thanks, Alifair M. I guess I don't have the sound on this one. It would have made the oh wait, let me see if it worked. I had it on a different screen. Thanks, Chrissy. There it is.
Thank you, Gray. Wave.
Oh God! I was trying to flip it to the one that worked. Oh man, I was trying to flip it to the screen that had the sound, but apparently it had the sound. Oh man, sorry about that. Anyways, Alifair M with the cat eye donation. All right, here, everybody, put the cat eyes instead. I could hear part of it though. I just heard it. There you go. Sorry about that. Hey, thanks Carolina T and Lisa Irwin. Okay.
For Tim Miller and Gray.
Cool. Well, look how many cat eyes you got into the chat there, though. That was pretty good. Yeah, that's right. I think it was I mean, I still stand by it. That it's a dumb question to ask. Why didn't the dad use the boyfriend, his son's phone? I don't know. What does it help solve, though? Why did he? You know what? Why did he step out of the car with his right foot
Great
first?
interview, Gray. You're the best.
I don't know what that means, Sapita. I have no idea what that means. Yeah, it was totally irrelevant. But to me, it sort of seemed like they were trying to imply something, because it's not important unless you're trying to.
For calling a question stupid. Lol.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some other reason that somebody was out on that road when they got there. We don't know. It could have something to do with their backgrounds, We just aren't gonna. We don't know that until they do the investigation. I don't have a Cash app. I don't even know what that is. I just have PayPal, Super Chats, and also the Streamlabs, which goes to PayPal too. Thanks, Linda Howell, Jessica Schubach. Oh, and there's Kit Kat. She's there to surf, to ride the wave. Yeah, I don't have that one. Or is there some people that only have that to use? Or it's okay. Yeah, well, it's Chloe sitting over there, but my camera's broke. I gotta get some duct tape for it.
Surfing woman, surfing woman, surfing.
Surfing woman, surfing woman, woman surfing. Why, what'd you type originally? Oh, surging USA. Yes, we're surging the economy. Yeah, I gotta get some duct tape. It definitely would work. There's Gritty Gret. Yeah, Gritty Gret, I wasn't even talking to you on the last show. Jesus, my God. I mean, I guess you thought it was a good question. I didn't think so. Yeah, I know it's duct tape. You're just not hearing it right. It's not duct tape like a quacking duck. It's just like saying months. Everyone else says duct tape, and the T isn't really pronounced. Nobody goes, "Hey, can you give me some duct tape?" Because you're already saying tape, and it sort of merges together. Yeah. Yes, thank you, generous freaks. Oh, I think I missed some people. Thank you, Christine Smith. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see. Kind of bot had a little yellow duct tape on it. Kind of bot had little. I don't know what that means. Oh, it's something you bought. Must have said something before that I don't see. Yeah. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I like that one the best. All right, I'm just gonna pick a random case of one that I found or somebody said to look at it. All right, let's see this one. What's this one? Alright, let's just see what this one is. Oh, is this a different case, or what is this one? Did we already cover this one? I don't think so. No. Oh wait, H-U-I. No, haven't done that one. Interesting. Air in my lungs. You are the wind beneath my wings. Yeah, it's in the description of the video is the link. Sapita. Okay. Somebody help out Sapita there. Okay.
Air in my
Thanks.
lungs, bay duck.
Alright, so this is one that I must have came across while I was looking at another case and then just stored it because I wanted to see what happened to it. Yeah, so let's see. It says the partially clad body of a girl found in a citrus grove ditch was identified Thursday as that of Laura Ann. I don't know how to pronounce it. Huizear, like Huser maybe. A shy, quiet 11-year-old who had been missing since Sunday. Okay, so this is Thursday. Let me see if I can. So that was November 11th, Thursday, 10th, 9th, November 9th, 1983. This is in Florida. Nah, I don't know. Let me just get to the story. I just want to see what the original one said. But let's see. According to an autopsy, the girl was suffocated. Alfred said further tests are being conducted to determine if she had been raped. He said investigators did not know if she was strangled or gagged. He said she had been dead since Sunday afternoon. Deputies speculated that the brown-haired, brown-eyed girl was on her way to her Peacock Road home when she was killed approximately a mile from her house. Hoosier, or H, like, I don't know how to pronounce that. What do you think that is? Hizar or something like that? Was last seen at 1:30 p.m. at the 2G's store on Shin Road. She had gone there with a friend with whom she had spent... let me check this out. Hold on. Maybe I'll make a... Well, let me do one thing first before I make a folder. Yeah, no, that's... wow, look at this. There's an article from July. So it hasn't been solved, the one that we're looking at right now. Okay, so then I will make a folder here. Okay. Strangled and gagged. Been seen Sunday. Deputies speculated that the brown-haired, brown-eyed girl was on her way to her Peacock Road in Fort Pierce. Let's see. Okay, so she just lived on this little Peacock Street right here, I guess. Probably didn't look like that back then, I would imagine. Let's see. Oh wow, look at it. Jesus. Look at the difference. What the hell was that? Like a military base or what? How could it look like that and then now it's like that? Isn't that the craziest thing you've ever seen? Like all of these, I wonder if it was a military base or something, and then they, I don't know, it's just so weird to look like that. Look at the difference. Those are all homes that are just sort of gone. Now there's, never seen that before. It's a strange deal. At the 2G store on Shin Road. Let's see where that is. Okay. It's called 2G. Oh, well, it's still there. Look at that. That's crazy. There's 2G's Market right there. Okay. She was last seen at 1:30 p.m. at the 2G store on Shin Road. She had gone there with a friend with whom she had spent the previous night. She left her friend and headed home carrying some extra clothes. So let's see, I mean, how far is that from that Peacock Road? I mean, that looks like a really too far. I wonder if that's even accurate. That's 10 miles. There's no way in hell she was just gonna be walking from there. So I don't think that's it. Ooh, boy, hold on. Now I gotta create another folder over here. That was the last time anyone saw her. Her parents, Joe and Judy, reported her missing later in the day. We tried to console them and say that she might have run away, but they insisted from the beginning that something was wrong. She just wasn't the type of girl to do something like that. They had moved to the area a year ago from Michigan, Joe said, like many from the north, was looking for work. He found a job as a grove worker with Ideal Holding Company. They are a very close family. He's a quiet guy and a hard worker, said spokesman for the Ideal Holding Company. His daughter was also a quiet, hard worker, said Barbara Wright, Laura's 6th grade teacher. That was her nature. She was a beautiful child. While our schoolmates make cards for her family, sheriff deputies were looking for leads. So far, they have none. In a citrus grove ditch. This is Florida. The murder of Laura Ann Hedger, who was walking alone to her home on Peacock Road last Sunday. When she disappeared, may change the "it could never happen here" attitude. Yeah. Yeah, it's like way over here. It's just not the same at all. There must have been a road back here called that a long time ago, because that's the 2G's market. There isn't going to be two of those. Yeah, so there isn't two of them. Yeah, my stomach's just... Bleh. I ate some of these noodles I wasn't supposed to eat. Sometimes you just want to eat some noodles. Okay, a Lucey County deputies tentatively identified a body found in the southwestern... So it was in the southwestern part of... Well, southwestern part of the county. Is that of an 11-year-old. She was last seen at 1:30 p.m. Sunday at Okeechobee at Midway Roads. Let's see where that is. Okay, that's right near there. So she was seen walking probably right in this area. Well, that's weird. So she was heading this direction. Because this is where she was, and then she started going that way. The sheriff's office spokesman said foul play is suspected. The body, which was found in an orange grove, was taken to Lawnwood Medical Center in Fort Pierce for an autopsy. Officers said the body had been in the grove since Sunday. With the murder of Laura Hooser, another life has been cut short by a vicious animal. If caught, the murderer will be sentenced to death and then sit on death row for the next 10 years, getting one delay after another, while a beautiful little girl was not given a chance to live her life. When will this stop? Yep, that's just a letter to the editor. Let's see if there's anything in 1984. Yeah. As she walked home from a nearby house. That doesn't make any sense. I want to see what that new article said. That's something else. Shit. Well, now I can't find that one. Maybe that's the one there. But it's the case of Huzar, an 11-year-old found near what is now the, oh, there you go, St. Lucie Fairgrounds. See, that's what I wanted to figure out, was where she was found. So it's near there, let's see. Ah, so she was found just like right here. Right where she was last seen, basically. That's crazy. Isn't that wild? That's where she was found, just right in this area. Back in 1983, that who wants to solve the most? It strikes a chord with me because I lost my own child, and as a parent losing a child, I can see where her parents were at. Her picture hangs in his cubicle. If I start getting down about not being able to find something, I look over, and she kind of is talking to me from the grave. Well, hope you guys have some DNA of some sort. So, anyways, I didn't really have much more to do. I kind of wanted to rest, but I wanted to play you guys that interview. I gotta get some ice back on this. Yep, yeah, go eat those noodles, damn it. No, it's a cold case still. It was one that I just came across in newspapers.com. I wanted to check it out. I might look into it more, but looks like they didn't really even cover it that much either, other than that when it first happened. Yes, thank you guys. Yeah, anyways, I appreciate you guys' support here, and I am just going to, I'm probably not going to do a flyby because I got to go. I can feel it starting to get more sore. I hate that shit. Hey, thanks, Zozo! Oh, is that her? Oh. Huh. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you guys very much. Thank you too. Let me go to this other screen here. Thank you to Dadio Caspian Horses Rock, Allison R, Rissy Paradis, Zozo again,
Hope
Christine
you feel
Smith.
better.
Oh, thank you. Kit Kat, Linda Howell, Jessica Schubach, Amanda Belg. Hey, there's Amanda Belg. Carolina T, Lisa Irwin, and an Alifair with the cat eye donation. Chrissy Paradis, Carla Hussey, Billy Boy Blue, Nicole Marie, and then Rochelle Black, Jessica Schubach, and then the earlier show was Sooner History, Chrissy Paradis, and Stephanie May Inman, and Megan Janetis. And then, let's see. Oh, there's Paradis on PayPal too, so thank you. Chrissy Paradis. And then also, oh, I guess those are on, those went through the Streamlabs. That's why I was able to read those. So anyways, I appreciate you guys very much. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I think it added a lot more context to it, a lot more information. Yeah, I don't know. It's 'cause this thing always takes a long time to get better, so hopefully I'm not bitching and moaning all the time, but I hate it. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much. And as I always say, everybody, until next time. Wait, I can't go yet. I can't go yet. I can't go yet. Make sure that you wash your hands with sanitizer. Wear your masks when you go out in public, and don't touch your face unless you've washed your hands, okay? There you go, everybody. That's it. So, as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And thanks to Rel Greggs right at the buzzer. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gregor's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor.
Tell me the rules, my name with a vector.
On his pector, with all respect, y'all. Just remember I've a temper fucking check ya.
I have no agenda. I'm a pretender.
And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. Alright, everybody? Talk to you.
Wow, cool interview. Hey, Gray, I hope your neck gets better.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Hey, good night, John boy.
Good night, Mary Lou.
What the hell was that? That sounded like you were trying to sing a song. That's weird, that's weird. Okay, good night, now, boy.
Wow.
A lot of crazy people out there. Alright, everybody. Be safe.